G'day. We're just about to do a really quick and dirty tutorial on setting up track cams using the KS editor for Assetto Corsa. This is by no means the right way to do it. This is just a way that I've learnt myself over the past 12 months or whatever it's taken me to figure this out. The first thing you're going to need with any of this is the Fbx files for the tracks themselves. Now, how you get these is up to you. I'm not going to go into it. You should ask the track maker or modder or whoever's doing it for their permission, probably. But there seems to be some ethical issues or issues of morals about unpacking other people's work, so I'm not going to show you how to actually get these. You can find out yourselves or talk to the track editors about sending you a Fbx file and the textures that come with it. Without the textures, you're going to really struggle. So what I've got open up here is Lilski's track Bridgehampton, the fall version, and I'm just going to take you through a really quick sort of example of how I edit these. I'll put the camera files up on the forums and maybe open a new thread or something on editing so people can ask questions. Like I said, this is just the way I've learnt to do it, through talking to people. You might find a better way. If you do, I'm happy to hear it. So the first thing, once you've loaded the Fbx files up that you can see over in here, you also need to load up the spline. The AI spline file is super important. And that's contained in your track folder under AI. We open that up and you'll see a line appear on the track. Whoop, there she goes. Okay, so to place the cameras within the editor itself, you need to pick on the track cameras tab down the bottom here, and you move around with the arrow keys on the keyboard and your mouse in like a free look mode. So place in the world where you want the camera to actually be. Now, one thing that I found with a lot of camera files that are made up, the start and finish line camera usually, it's not that it's not right, but it looks rubbish to me. One thing that I try and do consistently is have the start and finish camera the same camera and don't have it zooming. That'll sort of become clear later on when we look at zoom, but again, if you can figure out how to do it properly or a better way, go ahead and do it, but I just leave the zoom off. So find where you want to place the camera. I'm just going to put one up here and looking down so you can see the cars at the start. You see the cars in the pit and the start finish line. So all you do is add the camera and you'll see it pop up over here with it's called unnamed. My sort of normal convention is just to call this start/finish. And then in here is all of the information that'll come up in your camera any file. The most important ones, in my opinion, or everyone's opinion, is the in and the outs. Because we're just starting off, the in point's going to be 0. And that'll be across there. You can see, I'm pretty sure that these are the start-finish line points, the two cubes. These other cubes are all the pit boxes for the cars, or the grid spots. So you want to be able to capture that with this start line camera. So on the in point at 0, now to get your out point, don't move the camera from its position, just move it around with the mouse and find a spot where you think the cars are going to be sort of disappearing. Now I would suggest somewhere around here. All you need to do to pick your out point is right click your mouse on that, or close enough to that pink line, and you'll see some points pop up. Tells you here where it is on the spline. You don't have to type that in. All you have to do is go to set out, and you'll notice that it pops up in here. Okay, so that's our first camera position. You'll see the cars coming through there. You'll notice that the field of vision's 36, which is it's probably a little bit too wide, but for this tutorial it'll do. Okay, so we've got our first camera in place. Once you've got all of the stuff that you need in here done, which is basically your in, your out, your field of view, maximum and minimum, don't change those on this camera. As I was saying before, you don't want it to be jumping about in the zoom when it crosses a line. Just hit refresh and it'll update that to your start finish camera with all your values. So we're ready to go and do a second camera. So let's just move it down the track. Now to get it moving really fast, you just hold down the control key and your arrow key. Within this window, whenever your mouse is in this window here, if you use your mouse roller or whatever it is, a zoom thing, you can zoom right in and zoom right out. Now when you've zoomed in like that, you can tell the field of vision here is 6. Now the field of vision values in Assetto Corsa are, in my opinion, rubbish. I reckon there'd be better ways of doing this, but this is what we're stuck with, so there's no arguing with it. So let's just plonk another camera here to see him come down the main straight and then into the infamous turn 1. So all we do, again, we add the camera spot, go down to the new one, give it a name. Normally I'd call this camera 2. Now this is where your zoom comes in handy. You can tell by moving your mouse around and zooming in what field of view value it is. So 6 is going to zoom right in on the cars, but as it comes past, it's going to probably be too close. So we'll have a minimum value of 6. So as when they're a fair way off, you can see them reasonably well. When they're going past, we might want to leave that at sort of 10 to 15. So I'll put that at 15. Now the in point has to be the out point of the previous camera, and that's still sitting there. So we can just hit set in, and this is a peculiar thing. The in point is set for us. Okay, now turn around, find an out point, which is probably here just before they get around that corner. Set your out point. So once you've got your in point and your out point, your maximum and minimum field of view, and you've named your camera, just hit refresh and it'll refresh everything here. Okay, off we go to camera 3. Now a lot of people sort of talk about camera angles and where you should put cameras. It's really hard. It's a really hard thing to sort of get your head around and explain. I sort of normally put them where I think I'd like to be on the track if I was actually at the track watching, and that's not going to obviously work for curb cams and stuff like that. But you want to see where they're coming, either going through heavy cornering and bumpy cornering, heavy under brakes, coming out of corners where the car might be getting a bit sideways. So for this one, I'm going to just drop this one here. We'll see them coming through this really fast kink, and it's pretty bumpy, and then heavy on the brakes and into this corner here, and then you'll see them leaving the corner. So I'm going to have one here right next to the marshal's box. So again, we just hit add here, select that, change it to cam 3. I'm going to set my minimum setting at 6. Now with the minimum, I wouldn't normally go under 6. You start to get all sorts of funny pixelations and weird stuff. And when they're coming past, you probably want it sort of roughly about there, field of vision of 12. So change that to 12. Okay, your in point is already there from your last camera, so set your in. Your out point, we'll put it, I don't know, about there. Set out, refresh, and that camera's set now. As soon as you hit refresh, everything gets updated, and we're off to do the next camera. So let's put one up here. So you're next to the marshal that's giving the Team America signal for the, I think there's deers up there from memory. Okay. So I'm happy with another camera there. So I'm just going to add here, change to that camera, give it a name, call it Cam 4. The minimum 6, let's have a look at the maximum would be about that, which is about 18. 18 is getting pretty wide, I'd go 15. Set our in point. So the camera will cut to them right back down there, but we'll be in at 6, so you'll be able to see them well enough. And our out point, pick it about there. So it's all set now. Set out, hit refresh, and that's camera 4 done. So basically you just go around a track doing exactly this, picking the spots that you think there's going to be some action, or the cars are going to be moving around a bit. Just trying to make it look as much like a TV sort of setup as you possibly can. So we'll leave the minimum there as 6, the maximum I'll say 12. When you're first trying this, just play around with values. Once you watch the replay, you'll get a feel for it, and then you just go and change it in a text editor. So get them going up over the hill, set the out point, hit refresh. Oops. Okay, forgot to name that one, so Cam 5. Hit refresh. Okay. So all of those ones that we've done so far, they've all been dynamic cameras, like they're moving following the car. If you can get a good spot, and this is probably a reasonable spot, the static cams or the curb cams can be really good as well. Now, I know from doing the odd lap at this track that the cars are getting really unsettled coming across the top here. So I'd put a static cam virtually down on the ground here. You get all the colours of the trees nice and wide, and you'll see these cars come flying across the top here. So what we'll do, we'll add that one, call it Cam 6, set the in point. Now this one's going to be fixed, so you just double click on that to true. So it's a fixed camera, it's not going to move. And what we want to do is get the cars as they come towards it, and as they hit the camera point, we're going to set an out point. So you want to get it basically when they pass the camera. So somewhere here, set the out point and refresh that camera, and now swing it around, not moving the camera with the arrow keys, just the free movement key. Add another camera there, call that Cam 7. Set the in point as the last out point like normal. Make it a fixed camera, and then you can start moving now to make it look a bit better, or make it easier to pick your out point. You know it's coming in there. You only want it quickly to go past, and then we'll transition to a new camera a bit up the road. So set out and hit refresh. Okay, so that goes on and on. I won't go through all of them, but I will go back to the finish line camera. So just for argument's sake, I'm just going to plonk a camera right up here in the sky. It's going to look rubbish in the replay, but it'll let me finish this tutorial off a bit quicker than I thought. Let's call this one Cam 8. The in point, set the in point there. Now the field of view, we're going to bring that right into 6, 9. Let's leave it at 9. So you're going to get a top-down view of the car as it goes up through the valley of the left-handers, or whatever it's called, around the light bulb, up the East Straight, I think it is, around the last horrible corner at this track, and then onto the main straight. So what we're going to do is set an out point just as the cars come into view of that camera that we put down earlier. So we'll set an out point there, set out. So that camera is going to be on for a long time, but normally you would place, well, I would place cameras sort of there, 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 there. There'd be 5 or 6 cameras involved in that piece of track, but because we've already gone on for 15 minutes, I'll wrap this up. Okay, so to get back to our start finish camera, you don't have to try and find where you were. All you do is just go and click on it, and it puts you in that position. And then you can hit add another camera here, and all of the values are the same. The only things that we have to change here is set the in point to that point there, which is the out point of the previous camera, and the out point is set to 1. That's the last camera in the set. Hit refresh, name the bloody thing, Todd, cam 9, hit refresh. Now it's ready to save. So you got the track cameras, save. We want Bridgehampton Fall data, and I'll call this one camera _4, and that's it, it's saved. So there you go, that's a super quick and dirty, didn't end up being quick, but super dirty video on how to set up your track cameras in Assetto Corsa. I'll open up a new thread and ask your questions, and we'll see if I can answer them. Thanks for watching.